Somehow it's a super dreary day in April and we're almost in May, and I don't know how we got here, but uh, I've got a TBR for May to share with you and an inhaler to take. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Alyssa. I have another monthly TBR. I have shopped my shelves and I actually have books from my shelves this time to show you. These are books that I am hoping to get to in May. So let's jump in right at the top with books that I'm currently reading that I hope to finish in May. And we're going to start with something that I may actually finish today. It's the last day of April right now as I'm filming this, and I may finish this today if I have time, but I might not because I am really behind on filming content. So I will be filming content most of today. So we'll see if I finish Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott today or if I carry this into May. But this is the first in a sci-fi trilogy that is kind of like Alexander the Great in space. I'm really enjoying it. It's very action-packed. There's a lot of like infighting and stuff going on, like court intrigue. Really having a good time with this. I don't really know enough, I think, about Alexander the Great to see those parallels, but that's fine. I'm having a good time anyway. So I think if you don't know a lot about that history, you're not going to miss out on anything here. It's just going to add an extra layer to your experience. So you have the Chinoians. I think that's how you say it. Chaonia. And then you have the Fiends. They're kind of at war. Sun is the heir apparent for the place. This is why I can't remember it because my brain can't say it. There's like betrayal. There's this group of people that come together, including the sister of one of her former cadet mates, friends who's passed. They all have to kind of come together as this ragtag bunch to figure out what's going on to fight off the fiends. And this is the start of this trilogy. So book 2 is out, and now that came out a couple weeks ago. So I'm trying to finish this so I can get to book 2, which is further down in this list. It's not like space travel. It's like space like you're on a planet, and it honestly feels more naval. There seems to be a lot of water involved, but still enjoying it. Really good. Hoping to finish it soon in the next 48 hours. I am about 30% of the way through Crime and Punishment. We're taking this really slow and reading a part a week. So hopefully I will be done with this by the end of May because I'm really loving it. And then I will probably be doing a live show with some special people to talk about it. Really enjoying this. I don't know why I put this off, but I'm kind of glad that when I did try to read this when I was a teenager, and only got about 30 pages in, that I didn't completely abandon it and I held on to it because I'm really enjoying Crime and Punishment. So yes, trying to finish this in May. I'm also working my way through Mayfly, which I'm just reading like in pockets of time on my Kindle, so that's why it's taking so long. It's not because it's just very short. This is a horror novel. It's kind of like, it's really gross. It's kind of giving me what I think people thought Dead Inside was, but this is actually like appropriate. Like it's really gross. There's a lot of body horror. It's not for the faint of heart, but the satire I can see. It's not just gratuitously gross. So really enjoying this. This comes out in June, I believe, from Tor Nightfire. Yeah, in June. And I believe a TBR Lowdown is trying to do something special for this. So keep your eyes out for that. But loving this, coming out soon. And again, thank you, Tor Nightfire, for sending me a copy of this. How creepy is that cover, though? Such a creepy cover. Also from Tor, I'm doing a book tour for this. One of my favorite books from a couple years ago now is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. And there is another book out in the universe. It's not a series so much as it's a companion. And this is significantly smaller than To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. But Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini is coming out soon, I believe, in the month of May. I think it comes out, and I'm doing a book tour for it, but also I am super excited to have it so I can finally read more. I am happy to continue with my sci-fi goodness that was happening in April, so more of this to come. So this is a companion. This is In the Silence of Space, A Beacon Calls, July 25th, 2234. The crew of the Adamura discovers the anomaly on the seemingly uninhabited planet Talos 7, a circular pit 50 kilometers wide, its curve not of nature, but design. Now a small team must land and journey on foot across the surface to learn who built the hole and why. That's as far as much as I'm going to read, but I really liked To Sleep in the Sea of Stars. I know that not everybody did. I feel like it's the kind of sci-fi for a very particular person, and I am that person. So I am happy to go back into this world. And his sci-fi is so dorky and like nerdy and specific and detailed, and I love it. I did not get to this in April because I got distracted by 1,000 things, and I do need to finish The Lord of the Rings. I am still haven't even cracked into The Return of the King, so that is something that I would like to finish and wrap up in May, and I think I can do that. This might become like my walking book because it's kind of easy to listen to, and I just enjoy the story, and it seems fitting to listen to Lord of the Rings while going on a long walk. For the Read the Booker book club with Dee Dee Reads, we have 2 more to go. Well, 3 more to go. I'm not reading both. So there's 3 more to go. In May, we are reading After Sappho, which I always think is a Fitz book because it looks like it should be from Fitz, but it's not. I don't even know what this is about exactly, but I really am intrigued. So let's see what it's about. It looks like it's a collection of stories about women. It's a novel that celebrates the women and trailblazers of the past, their constant efforts to push against the boundaries of what it means and can mean to be a woman, and also offers hope for our present and future. So I guess they are all actual historical figures. I don't know, sounds interesting. I'm curious to see what this is about. I cannot remember if people liked this or not. Like, I literally cannot remember if people liked it. So if you've read this, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it, or if this was one of the ones that was kind of a dud from the Booker last year. But I'm excited to finally get to it. I've had it on my shelf so long. So I have this in May, and then next month is Case Study, and then I'm not reading Booth. I'm finally going to get to Hester, which is a sort of retelling of the Scarlet Letter from Hester's point of view. Really curious about this one. It's also beautiful. So it says, who is the real Hester Prynne? In this sensuous and hypnotizing tale inspired by the iconic heroine of the Scarlet Letter, a young immigrant woman grapples with the legacy of witchcraft and the horrors of slavery, and learns that America's ideas of freedom and liberty often fall short of their promise. I feel like I saw this around, but then I haven't ever heard anybody talk about it. So I don't know if it's one of those books that just kind of like made the rounds on the social medias because it's beautiful, and then it's either a dud and that's why I've never heard of it, or just it was like pretty and so people showed it, but nobody talked about it because did people read it? I don't know. But I'm excited to read this. I may need to do a reread of The Scarlet Letter in conjunction with it, but we'll see. This next book is because of BookTube with Amy. In a recent video, she was talking about things she was doing with her channel and wanting to do these like vlogs essentially of trying out authors she's kind of been hoarding books from but hasn't read from yet. And if you've been around, if you follow the podcast, you know I have several authors that I hoard books from, but I've never read anything from them yet. And hearing her talk about this idea sparked me to actually pick something from one of those piles. I'm not going to do a vlog or anything like that, but I did want to actually start reading some of these books instead of just hoarding and hoarding and hoarding. And so I picked Margaret Atwood, but I picked Oryx and Crake. I'm very curious about this one because I feel like this is supposed to be sort of sci-fi, and I'm in this literary sci-fi world right now in my head, so I kind of want to try this. Humanity here equals Snowman, and in Snowman's recollections, Atwood recreates a time much like our own, when a boy named Jimmy loved an elusive Danish girl called Oryx and a sardonic genius named Crake. But now Snowman is alone, and as we learn why, we also learn about a world that could become ours one day. So it's post-apocalyptic. People are giving it echoes of Orwell and Huxley. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this is the right entry point for me for Atwood. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and thank you to BookTube with Amy for inspiring me to actually pick something up from this. Speaking of other booktubers doing things, Gunpowder Fiction and Plot is doing Misery May, which is it's all centered around Thomas Hardy, and the only Hardy I think I've read to completion, I know I've read to completion, is Tess of the Dubervilles. So I'm not going to follow all the prompts, but I will try to link the video where they explain the prompts and everything for this read along for May. but I'm going to read another Hardy. I figured I will participate by reading another Hardy. I'm not very good at read-alongs or readathons, so this is how I can participate. And so I decided to pick Jude the Obscure because I think this is supposed to be very sad and miserable. And sad and miserable is right up my alley. And I've had this since probably like 1995. Jude Hawley abandons his long held dream of becoming a scholar when he is deceived into marriage, settling for a trade as a stonesman. He lives in the shadow of the great university in Christminster, where he had hoped to study, and here he falls in love with Sue Bridehead, his cousin. When she learns he is married, she turns away despite her feelings for Jude, marries Richard something or other, the schoolmaster who inspired Jude's passion for learning. But the attraction between Jude and Sue proves greater than convention, and their scandalous union will lead to a tragedy of unimaginable proportions. Sounds like it's going to be sad. I'm going to read it. I only have this on my shelves in Far from the Madding Crowd, so I feel like I'll start here. I also have on here Stoner, which I saw on Celebrity Book Club. And who had this as one of their favorite books? I don't have my phone here. I'll try to put it in on the bottom. But somebody had this as one of their favorite books recently, and it reminded me that I picked this up at a library book haul, like a book barn haul. I want to try it. So I also love these New York Review of Books, like their editions. I don't know, something about them I really, really love. Their paperbacks just make me happy. They're like simplistic, but pretty. Love it. I can't remember what this is about, so let's find out together. William Stoner was born at the end of the 19th century into a dirt poor Missouri farming family, sent to the State University to study agronomy, farming, I assume. He instead falls in love with English literature, embraces a scholar's life, so different from the hardscrabble existence he has known, and yet as years pass, Stoner encounters a succession of disappointments. Marriage into a proper family estranges him from his parents, his career is stymied, his wife and daughter turn coldly away from him. A transforming experience of new love ends under threat of scandal. Driven even deeper within himself, Stoner rediscovers the stoic silence of his forebears and confronts an essential solitude. It sounded sort of like moody, and I'm here for moody. If you've read this, tell me what you think of it. I'm finally going to get to Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. This is now shortlisted for the Women's Prize. Super excited to get to this. In Northern Ireland during the Troubles, a young woman is caught between allegiance to the community and a dangerous passion. Oh, is she like gonna fall for the wrong kind of man? Amid daily reports of violence, Kushla, oh, I'm saying that wrong, lives a quiet life with her mom in a small town near Belfast. By day, she teaches at a parochial school. At night, she fills in at her family's pub. There, she meets Michael Agnew, a barrister who's made a name for himself defending IRA members against her better judgment. Michael is not only Protestant, but older and married. Ooh, that sounds like it's going to get juicy. I'm just excited to read this, and I haven't read a lot from the Women's Prize. The Women's Prize in general was kind of like lackluster to me. It's just like too broad of a category of books that they pick, so but this one definitely stood out to me on that list, so I'm excited to get to it. I have 3 series I'm continuing. When I finish the first Kate Elliott, I do have the second one here, Furious Heaven. Excited to get to this one. And again, thank you to Tor for sending me this. I am really loving this sci-fi, like I said, so really excited to get to this. The Dark Days Pact by Alison Goodman. This is like Regency romance meets reimagined vampire trope. I read book 1, absolutely loved it. It's such a it's just a nice read. It's just a good time. It made me happy. So I was hoping to get to the second one last month, but I think I'm going to get to it this month instead. And then there's one more. It's a trilogy. So getting to this one. And then I have Storm of Swords, which I don't know if I'm going to read all of this. I don't know if I'm going to read all of this in May, but I do need to get back to Game of Thrones, and I believe this is where I left off. Naomi has been catching up to me, and we put this one off for a month or so because I just had too many books going, so now I can pick back up and continue with the series. And I swear these books just get chunkier and chunkier as we go along. And I love these covers, and I wish I could find book 1 like this. I'm sure it's very expensive. And then I don't like the way the covers have gone. I love cheesy fantasy covers. Can we like keep these? This is the fantasy cover I want. This is what I want. And then I have 2 books that I don't have physical copies of that I'm hoping to get to. One is Post-Traumatic by Chantel Johnson. I do have this on my Kindle. I just don't have a physical copy. And this is kind of like Side Girl It. It's a debut, it's a survivor narrative. So our main character is a lawyer that advocates for our mentally ill patients at a psychiatric hospital. She's got her own trauma from her childhood that she's dealing with, and the story seems to center around her trying to deal with her own trauma while helping people with their trauma. So definitely something that is up my alley. We'll see if I like it. I know a few of my friends have read it, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down below if you're watching. Otherwise, I guess we can just chat about it on the side. But if you read Post Traumatic, I'd love to hear about it. I do love kind of like a sad, angry girl lit. So here for Post Traumatic. And then finally, for my Patreon, we are reading Dear Centurion by Kweke Emezi, which is kind of their memoir. I did not get to that for Trans Girl April, and we were just kind of down to read it all together because we haven't read a memoir or a nonfiction in a couple months. So if you'd like to join the Patreon, there's a Patreon down below. Otherwise, just that's fine. Watching the videos supports the channel too. That is everything that I'm looking to read in May, if I can get to it. I've got a lot of chunky books in there. I will probably get distracted. We'll see. You'll see in my wrap up what I actually completed, but it's a good mix. I read a lot of fantasy, sci-fi in April, and it made me really happy. So I think I'm trying to better balance between lit fic and SFF because I really love both, but sometimes it's so easy to fall down a lit fic rabbit hole. They're shorter, they move faster, there's fewer character names, so it kind of can get easier to just binge read those. But I need to also read my SFFs that I have a whole corner of books that I'm not reading because I get distracted. So I'm trying to do better at that. Anyway, I'd love to know what you're looking at to read in May. If you want to participate in Misery May, again, that'll be down below. There are like more specific prompts for it, but I'm just reading a Hardy to kind of dabble in and support another creator and what they're doing in the space. I like to support other creators. I think that it's just nice if we all pitch in and support each other. But anyway, that is it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think